Erwin D. Raglin enlisted in the U.S. Navy in 1938. He served through the Second World War. On November 6, 1951, he and 9 others were flying an intelligence mission on a Navy Neptune reconnaissance plane near Vladivostok, Russia, when the aircraft went missing. As of late 2020, his family still did not know what happened to him or the 9 others. He was still listed as missing in action. In January 1942, Erwin was serving aboard the cruiser USS Chester and began keeping a diary. The diary's first pages provide a summary of the attack on Pearl Harbor and its immediate aftermath. Those pages are transcribed and read in the video Pearl Harbor Diary, Erwin D. Raglin. This portion of Erwin's diary covers the Chester's operations with the USS Balk and USS Maui in the area of Taroa, Marshall Islands, at the beginning of February 1942. Erwin was a busy junior enlisted sailor caught up in his daily responsibilities, not a historian, but his recounting of the battle corresponds with what is reported at the Naval and Heritage Command's website. Several bombs fell close to the Chester as she retired from the area, but at 0820 she took a direct hit on the well deck inboard of the port catapult. Chester then became the focus of 8 Japanese heavy bombers, but she escaped further harm. Safely out of action and with her planes back on board, the cruiser looked after her damage and the crew. 8 aboard the Chester were killed. The text has undergone minor editing. Scans from the first pages of the original diary can be found at the end of this video. The diary. On January 3, 1942, we left Pearl Harbor at 0900 and headed to sea. Went to sea for 4 days and fired all guns for practice. Entered Pearl Harbor January 7 and again loaded with fuel and provisions. Rated Liberty ashore. Had lower deck and personal inspection. Looks like the officers of this Navy still don't know there is a war going on. We was the only ship in the fleet that had an inspection. Left Pearl Harbor on January 11th, Sunday, at 11 a.m. The whole task force again all underway for parts unknown. We headed southwest. Weather continually getting warmer. On January 13th, we were 800 miles from the equator and still heading in that direction. Crossed the equator on January 15th. Still heading south with destination unknown. Have not contacted any enemy ships while on this cruise. Fueled all ships in this task force and then came in vicinity of Samoa. Left tanker and for 3 days stayed close. Sent one of our planes on a secret mission. Was gone 2 days. Had submarine scare, but nothing happened. From January 20th to 27th, just hung around in the vicinity of Samoa. Had several submarine scares, but nothing happened. On February 1, 1942, we attacked Taroa Island, which is one of the smaller islands in the Marshalls. Events of the day were, we were supposed to begin firing from our long-range guns at 7:15 a.m., just daylight. We were 14 miles from the island when at 06:59, 2 jet bombers dived on us. That kind of offset our plans. We were supposed to be making the surprise, and they started fighting first. Nevertheless, we kept on heading toward the island. When we were 6.5 miles from there, we started firing our long-range guns. We silenced several of their shore batteries. All the time, we were under heavy fire from both aircraft and shore batteries. Rather a funny feeling being fired at for the first time. There were supposed to be some of the aircraft carrier USS Enterprise planes protecting us from air attack, but they did not show up. So we had to be on the defensive side most of the time, rather than the original offensive. We were under attack from the air from 0659 until 0845, 1.5 hours, almost constantly. All the time we were doing full speed, 35 knots, and all anti-aircraft guns were blazing, 3-inch and 5-inch caliber guns plus machine guns. There were a total of 17 planes plus 8 horizontal bombers which dropped their loads just 50 yards behind us. Also, 2 submarines were firing torpedoes at us. Our task force was split up, and this small force consisted of 1 cruiser, the Chester, and 2 destroyers, the Maori and the Bulk. During the air attack, there were a total of 5 enemy planes shot down and 1 sub sunk. The Chester got 1 bomb hit on the quarterdeck. A large hole was made through the first deck. Apparently, a small bomb loaded with shrapnel. Flying shrapnel was worse than the hole itself. There were 7 men killed, 6 from V Division and 1 from Mess Bay. 14 seriously injured and several slightly injured. Everyone considers we were very fortunate to get away with as little damage as there was. We had no air protection whatsoever. We maintained a speed of about 35 knots, and when the plane started to dive, we would start zigzagging, and that was the only thing that saved us. Bombs and torpedoes were dropping all around us, some as close as 50 feet. We kept up high speed until noon, then recovered our own aircraft. All 4 returned to ship, had several holes in them. We made over 100 miles in 3 hours. The afternoon was spent in repairing the damage done to the ship, also personnel. 2 antennas were shot away. We are now making 24 knots and headed east. Expect to come in sight of the Enterprise sometime tomorrow. She is our only air protection. Sure would be much happier if she were with us. It was a feeling of being lost with her not along while we were being dived on by enemy planes. Again, we were very fortunate. Continued high speed for 2 days heading east. 1 more man died, bringing the total casualties to 8 dead and 13 seriously injured, about 30 slightly injured. All dead bodies are stored in the icebox. Our pork chops sure do taste funny.